are back. We don't have any we don't have anything that says NFL. So it's just gonna say the NBA bit as we ease in. We're joined by John Boy Beats. We're talking football today. John, what's going on, man?
What's up, baby? I'm excited to get in the football streets. We famously had a really good run of DFS teams last year. Made a lot of money.
Ofer, dude. We
So
were
here we go.
over. I was far more successful in Underdog in best ball last year, and we did 0 streams on that. So I think this is
Yeah,
good. This
yeah.
is we'll pivot over here. For those that don't know, we're gonna be doing this just about every Wednesday. We'll dive in and do some best ball stuff. We'll start off slow and ramp up as we get later into the season. And John has already been like really deep into it and you're going to you'll see some spreadsheets, you're going to see some highlighted stuff, and then we'll do a draft. But as always, you can find all of our links there in the show notes too. Sign up for Underdog, use one of our promo codes, get cooking. We'll do a draft here in a little bit as well too, which is exciting. But John, how many drafts have you done already?
I'm probably in the, I don't know, maybe 40 to 50 range. I've
And
done
that's total,
about,
that's covering all different tournaments.
yeah,
Okay.
all tournaments, everything. So I'm actually I've been trying to take it a little bit slower. I'm planning on maxing out BBM again with the 150 drafts. I think I'm only maybe 7 drafts into that. So I'm kind
Okay.
of hoping to, wait a little bit until maybe more into the July, August to start really hammering that. And then, I've kind of done some of the puppies, some of the poodles, some of the smaller ones on Underdog. Which are fun, but, like, it's just hard to, like, really get up for those when I know there's gonna be a lot of them, right? So
Right.
so I'm just trying to kinda ease into it a little bit so far.
Because that was one of the questions that I actually wanted to start with. Because in basketball, right? So we're the last round of drafts that I did was in for the dance, which RIP the dance. Or we're still alive, I guess technically. But
Yeah.
one of the things that I ran into was like trying to figure out the timing of everything and like where advantages lie, if they do lie there, if it's just important to like spread it out, like taking lots of stabs early on stuff, like being able to plant a flag before all the information out was helpful. But then there was also part of me that was like, we should leave a reserve here ready to go once all that information's locked in. Like what's been like what is your thought process of like the timing of everything?
I mean, I think and I feel like I'm probably gonna reference this, 700 times over the next, few weeks, but Leone wrote a, great article on Establish the Run that's free for everyone called the Best Ball Manifesto. It's a pretty hefty read, takes, like, a few hours to get through, but if you're serious about it, I would definitely take a cruise through that one. It really lays out a lot of different buckets, but 2 of the things that kinda popped out to me from his list or from, like, all the different talking points that he talked about was, there's a huge differentiator in just the amount of players that you have live in the later weeks. Like, and live from like a standpoint of like, hey, they're suiting up for the game, right? Like, obviously, there's like an injury point of things that like you can't really control, regardless of when you draft. I mean, there's some summer injuries that happen, right, in training camp and stuff, but like a lot of in season stuff you can't control. But like, there's also plenty of things like right now, who's the Cowboys running back to, right? Like, I don't know, you could take 3 different stabs at it and any of them could be right. And so, being able to like piece some of those things out as you get closer to the season, I think is important because like right now, you could be drafting Ronald Jones thinking, hey, he's going to be the Cowboys running back too. And by the time the season starts, he's like cut, right? And so it's like, okay, I already lost a player on my team. Like, maybe he pops up somewhere, but like probably not anything meaningful. And so, like, in some of those, I feel like in some of those ambiguous scenarios where it's a little like, okay, who's the true wide receiver 3 or who's the true running back 2 or whatever, maybe kind of just punt on the like it's not really worth taking the risk early, I think. And then but then the other side of the thing is like the closing line value of like your picks, right? So like if you're taking like a Ramondre Stevenson last year, right, who was like, I don't know, a freaking 8th or 10th round pick or whatever, and by the time the season started, he's a you know 5th round pick or something like that. Like that's huge value getting a guy who's gonna score a ton of fantasy points, be a pretty reliable running back, and getting like 3 rounds of closing line value on him, right? And so that's sometimes the benefit of drafting early too, right? Is like being able to get some of that closing line value. So I think that's like the two ends of the spectrum, right? It's like, well, I could really fire now and get some closing line value, or I could wait, get some more information, and try to make sure like my teams are kind of as healthy as possible. You want to call it going into the season.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I both am, it can be like a really good thing and a really bad thing is I do like you'll see my percentages like really ramp up, and when it works, it's really cool, and when it doesn't, it's not really
Yeah,
cool. And when talking about that, it was like dudes like Brian Robinson who
yeah,
looked like the smartest person in the world, and then got unlucky. But I was
yeah,
drafting him in like 17th round. Same thing with Damian Pierce was another one who I was getting, and then all of a sudden you see that ramp up, but it hurts just as bad going the other way too, where you like think you have a line on something and you're taking somebody in like the 13th round, and then all of a sudden like gone, that they're no
yeah.
longer on the team anymore. And you're like, well, hey, maybe they get scooped up. Maybe they get scooped up. They get a flyer on another team, which I think is always like the Rojo conversation in
I think
general.
that's like I think that's a good way to phrase like how you should think about doing it early, right? Like I'm sure by this point most people are going to be doing some drafts, right? Like best ball has gotten to the point where it's on everybody's radar, like people are talking about it, like there's plenty of $5, $3, $7 options out there to where it's a relatively manageable price point. And so, if it you don't need to like take a huge stand now on players, right? Like just kind of like find some ranks that are good, or do some ranks, and like maybe there's a couple people you like ahead of ADP or after ADP or whatever, but like for the most part just kind of spread it out. And like I like to spend a lot of the time just trying to like figure out the ADP, right? Like that's what we talked about in the dance. Like it's important to figure out like how ADP works and where do guys usually go. And like, okay, if I take somebody here from the Heat, then I can get Bam later or whatever, right? And like those kind of things. And so just trying to get some reps in at like a relatively low dollar option and like not a whole lot of risk out there early, I think is important, because then you start getting into the flow of things. You're like, okay, boom, I took a quarterback in round 7. I can wait until round 15 to stack it up with this guy, and now I'm like kind of cruising throughout the drafts. And I think getting to that point, which I don't even think I'm really at yet, but kind of getting to that point and having a little bit of comfort for where pretty much everybody goes that you would want to draft, I think is an important point to get to at before things really ramp up in July and August.
I see a question here from Weisberg too that I'm gonna save. We're gonna come back to it. I wanted to hit one more thing, and then I think we can like start pivoting into more of like actual drafting
Yeah.
and like ADP and stuff like that. But one of the things that I wanted to throw at you, because I know you tweeted something out about the contest between Underdog and DraftKings, and like when you're looking at a lot of these best ball contests, and we can focus on Underdog since that's where we are. I think maybe the best ball, like listen, the sickos are out there dropping $25 a whack every single time. But what if you were like just dabbling in? Are there some of the like? Do you think the poodle sticks out a little bit more, or puppies? Like if you're just trying to get your feet wet before you dive into BBM.
Yeah, I think the poodles are pretty good, mostly just because they're the 20 max total, right? And like I don't know, for in my opinion, like the number of max, like the max doesn't matter a whole lot for these tournaments, right? Because it's more so just like how well you're able to kind of like control your own bankroll as the summer goes on, right? But because like, okay, if you're on a NFL Sunday and you're firing 150 lineups into DraftKings, like you can really dial in your exposures and like, okay, I want X amount of Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow stacks, X amount of T Higgins, Joe Burrow, and like really kind of fine tune without throughout the 150, and try to hit a lot of different outcomes. With this, it's like there's just so much that's not in your control of how these drafts are going to go, right? And so if I don't really think you're at a disadvantage by, let's say, drafting 5 drafts versus somebody who's drafting 150 drafts in the puppy, right? Like maybe somebody who's doing 150 is like a little bit more willing to kind of like go a little bit crazier in the late rounds or something. Like, I don't know, take maybe a couple more flyers, but like for the most part, you still have to like be able to build a good roster, like be able to kind of get some correlation and stack things up. And so like each time, like you should be able to, enter a pretty good lineup that has a chance, and it doesn't necessarily matter how many you get in. And so I think the poodles have been pretty good. The first one filled like within 48 hours or something, 20 max. I think it was 30K up top, and then the second one they opened was open for a bit longer, and that one had 60K up top. So still a pretty healthy prize up there for sure. But yeah, right now they only have the big boys up, right? So it's the Best Ball Mania and then the Chow and the Bulldog, which are fun. I don't know if I'm gonna do a Bulldog. I
Yeah,
did the
well, I was gonna say
Dalmatian.
we're each gonna be doing a bulldog, right? The two of us will
Yeah,
fire in one tonight.
yeah, probably. Yeah, both tonight. We'll get them done out of the way early. But so that's another point though, like that, like in the Chow, right? So that's been open for a few weeks, and maybe not even that, maybe like a week. And it's already like probably over. Yeah, it's already close to filling. But there's like that one. I think has a slow and a fast option.
Mhm.
And so I think there's like a little bit of an edge to like when the chow gets to 90%, like just firing a couple slows, like two slows, right? Like let's say you want to do a total of 4 drafts on this or something, right? Like do a couple early on in the fast and then like right before the buzzer hit two slows because like the slows last a couple weeks and like in a field of 5,500 people, like having a little bit of info advantage, like potentially could help a little bit. I mean, if you're able to like scoop something or be able to adjust to some wherever Hopkins signs or like
Mhm.
whatever, like there's little things there that like could matter. And so I've kind of been doing that. Like I like on the Dalmatian, like I just waited as long as possible. That was a single entry $100 one. I just waited as long as possible and then I entered it. Same thing for the chow. Like I've done two of them, and I'll maybe do a couple more towards the end. But yeah, I mean, there's like a little edge there. But then like when they come out with the small ones, like the threes, the fives, the sevens, like those things just fill up so fast. So yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think that one is just kind of like fire away and have some fun at it.
I do they do single entry ones?
Mhm.
Okay, I
The
don't remember.
Dalmatian was single entry. The Dalmatian was like 1,080 people, $100 entry, and yeah, you could only do one.
You can only
So
do
that
one.
one's kind of cool. And there's a couple of pretty good single entry ones on DraftKings. There's a few in like the $4 to $9 to $7 range or something, 15, that are single entry or maybe like three max total. And then they have a couple bigger ones, 100 and 250 that are like one or two max. So yeah, so those are nice. The nice thing about like the Bulldog in this one right here, which it seems hefty at $500, but it does advance 4 out of 12 through the first round. So it's not like completely horrible. And I think the min cash is still like
Oh, sorry.
decent. So you only have to beat a third of the teams, yeah.
Yeah, min cash is
Six
600.
hundred bucks. So
Um, all right, we're not going to do that one tonight, I don't think. But yeah, before we like dive into one, I don't. Did you want to talk a little bit about correlation? I know you had shared
hmm,
with me a nice little pretty spreadsheet earlier, kind of diving in, and a lot of this might be a refresher for a lot of people. What we're talking about here, but maybe it's the first time you're learning of it. But we'll quickly go over this, and then we can like dive into a draft and kind of talk through the process, if you will. So here we go. I got that up on screen now.
yeah. So I mean, basically, this isn't like rocket science or anything. Oh shit, did I screw that up?
No, it's good now.
This
Well,
isn't like, yeah, this isn't anything too crazy. Anybody can build the sheet up, but basically, it just includes like every team, who their week 17 counterpart is, and then who their week 16, 15, and then which teams that they play two divisional games for. So the there's a couple different things with correlation, right? And I think one of the goals that Mike and I are trying to have over the next few weeks here is to like spend some time touching on a bunch of different things that are important to think about. We can't really bite it all off at once, but I think correlation is a pretty important one, and the main reason being is like when you think about playing on DraftKings, right? Playing like a weekly DFS type of contest, you like table stakes is basically stacking in games and stacking with the bring back, right? Like pretty much you have to do it. That's like the only way you're going to have a chance at winning. You're not seeing a whole lot of naked quarterbacks winning big prize pools, and so when it comes to like how you think through this best ball is like, okay, well, it's a full season long thing. It's really, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but then when you think about how the playoff rounds work, you compete with your own people through weeks 1 through 14, and then 15, 16, and 17 is just one round weeks, right? So you need to try to get the highest score that week, and then obviously week 17, you're instead of being in a pool of 12 or 16, you're now in a pool of 400, or on DraftKings, a pool of 1,000, right? So that's really where like you want access to that one game that blows up, and Broncos and Chargers scores 55 points or 65 points or whatever, and things are going crazy.
Which is kind of what was
And
it? The Dolphins and somebody. What was it? The Patriots? Somebody, they went absolutely
yeah,
bonkers.
Dolphins and Patriots was a pretty good one last year, I think. Bucks, I think the big
Bucks.
Mike
That's
Evans week
Bucks.
was
That's
in
right.
week 17 last year, so obviously that was a huge beneficiary for whoever had Evans. So yeah, I mean, so I think like just kind of getting in the habit of like, okay, I drafted Jamar Chase. Well, now I got to figure out like how to eventually get a Chief, like sometime in this draft. Oh, I got Justin Jefferson. Well, I'm going to try to get a Packer, at some point in the draft. Like those are just like kind of. I would kind of just reference that that's like table stakes. You kind of have to get into that mindset of the week 17 stuff. And then once, and again, that kind of takes a little bit of like figuring out, right? And a little bit of like getting used to. And that's like, okay, well, if I do like, because a lot of times what'll happen is like, let's say you start with like AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, right? And that's Philly, and you're gonna need to eventually get a Cardinal. So like you'll all of a sudden like be drafted, and you'll get to like round 9, and you're like, oh shit, like there's like no good Cardinals left, right? And it's like so then you kind of got to like figure out, okay, wait, should I have taken a Cardinal a little bit earlier, and like maybe next time I do this I need to be a little bit more aware of that and type of thing. And so anyways, it's going to kind of take some reps to get used to that. And so definitely kind of queuing up the week 17 guys early, and just just seeing those pop out is beneficial. And then you can kind of keep taking it steps further. And like you can look at week 16, week 15. I mean, these are all like this would be like very bottom of the totem pole kind of decisions for me, I would say. Like
More
I'm
like
not
tiebreaker stuff, right?
exactly, yeah, and I wouldn't even like, I would say majority of the drafts I don't even really think about this that much. Like for instance, but this is actually a really good instance, right? With Justin Jefferson, right? So he's going to be number 1 overall. So you take Justin Jefferson, you see he's got a week 17 match with the Packers. So there's plenty of Packers you can take late. But then you see he's got a week 15 matchup with the Bengals, right? So maybe there's a little bit of tiebreak. You come to the 2-3 turn, and you got to decide between Devontae Smith and T. Higgins. It's like, okay, well, maybe I'll take T. Higgins here because there's a little bit of correlation there with, Jefferson and T. Higgins during one of the playoff weeks. So
That's
yeah,
usually how I try to approach it as well too, and because I think sometimes you can get so bogged down being like, oh my god, I need to make sure I do this, I need to make sure I do this, and then just being able to be like, okay, if I get not stuck, but if I'm like I'm like wavering between a couple of different spots, it's like, okay, well, let's go back and use it as a tiebreaker. I find that to be that pretty helpful.
well, and I think the other thing too that like is interesting to think through is like when you're stacking on your own team, right? So like if you're gonna take the Giants, right? You're gonna take Saquon relatively early. It's like, okay, well, if I take Saquon, like should I, since he's the running back, should I kind of like stay away from the passing game? And I don't really think that that's something that you need to worry about at all. Like I have no problems taking Saquon, Daniel Jones, and a couple late Giants receivers, and coming out of the draft with 4 Giants. And really what could potentially happen and benefit you well in that case is and maybe the Giants are a bad example because I wouldn't call them necessarily a high powered offense, but let's use the Bengals for instance, right? You get Mixon, you get Burrow, and you get a receiver, one of their receivers, right? And so what you actually want to have happen in that case is Joe Mixon blows up in week 16 and has like a huge game. Jamar Chase does nothing, but Mixon, scores 3 touchdowns or something and is enough to carry you to week 17. And then everybody that has Mixon in week 17, maybe not many of them have also Burrow and Chase, right? So now you're like, okay, cool. And now I got leverage. Like I want Burrow and Chase to go off. I don't care about my Mixon anymore. And now I got some leverage on that field in that week 17. And so you can kind of hit like both sides, but same thing for multiple good receivers or whatever. So yeah, that I wouldn't worry at all about doubling up teams or anything or doubling up positions on teams and stuff like that. So yeah, and then the other thing that's a small aspect, which maybe we can get into later on, is like there is a pretty hefty regular season payout now on Underdog, right? The top like I forget how many. I think it's like top 10,000 people get paid out who finish in the regular season. And so, that's a decent, and it's like $250 minimum, I think, if you get in the top 10, 10,000. And so, yeah, I think getting into some of the divisional correlation, which I listed here, is these are basically all the teams that this team will play twice during the year, right? And so, every team has a divisional game in week 18. Week 18 doesn't matter for best ball, so that kind of doesn't matter as much. That third team within their division, whoever they play in week 18, doesn't get the other correlation boost. But like if you look at this example of like the Panthers, for instance, right? If you were to draft players from Carolina, Atlanta, and New Orleans, right? Now you're basically drafting 3 teams, and during the regular season, you're getting access to 4 different game stacks, which is pretty powerful, right? Because usually you're drafting 2 teams and getting access to 1 game stack. Now you're drafting 3 and getting access to 4. So just kind of, again, like very small little tiebreakers to where it's like, okay, if I'm gonna be skewing a little bit of my of my thought process and goal towards doing well in the regular season, well, might as well try to sprinkle in a couple games where there could be some spike games in the regular season, right? Like there
Yeah.
could be like this example for KC and Denver, right? Like they're going to play twice, right? That's maybe going to be a shootout. So if there's an option for me to grab a Jerry Judy with Patrick Mahomes, well, maybe I take that and hope Judy goes off in those high scoring games against the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I want to take it a step further just to explain correlation. I thought it might have been clear, but I'm seeing there was still a little confusion because Borland was pointing out that Justin Jefferson and T. Higgins are both wide receivers. So how could that be impacting each other because they play the same position on different teams? And the point that we're making right here, we're talking about correlation, and you heard him say like spike weeks, which is that trademarked by Coakley and the Spike Week team. But and blind for yeah, you're banking on the game shooting out. So like if Justin Jefferson's going to have a good game, right? Or if you're going to see a lot of points being scored, that means both teams are chucking the ball a little bit, right? So if you're having, if you're seeing Minnesota run up the score, that means Cincinnati's going to be throwing to run up the score, and that means that you're going back and forth, right? That's why when you
Yeah, I mean,
like,
it's basically like, would you rather try to hit a 18 leg parlay, or would you rather try to hit like 8 leg parlay, right? And
right,
so
you're
if you can
narrowing it
try to
down,
get if you can try to get 4 pieces from one game environment, and that game environment scores 70 points,
right?
well, odds are the pieces on your team are going to be part of those scoring points, and so they're going to kind of bring each other up, even though like I don't know, but there is like to his point, like I mean, there's tons of data on direct correlation between wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 1 from opposing teams in game environments, right? Like that is a big correlation boost. Just not as impactful as QB to wide receiver, right? But
Right.
opposing wide receiver to wide receiver is definitely a correlation booster.
Yeah. Let's jump into one just because these usually take a little bit and we're 25 minutes in and we can keep
Yeah.
talking about this stuff as we go. So I'll jump in one. We'll do mine this week. Next week we can do yours and just flip flop if that sounds good. So we're gonna jump in a little best ball here. I think I've only done like 5 of these. And I gotta be honest, like this takes me a little bit to get into a rhythm of
Like you
drafting.
need to
And
zoom out a little bit.
my two hype right now. Let's see.
I think maybe a little bit because you might get. Yeah, I think that's maybe a little bit better.
Oh yeah, can you read the names? How about
I
that?
mean, I can, but I'll probably know them. But we can just kind of, do a vocal.
Yeah. But yeah, oh damn, sorry. You can't. What do you mean you can't, Juice McCaffrey? What does that mean? Are you banned? Are you banned? Are you
Maybe
not in the
it's
right state? No,
yeah.
Juice McCaffrey. I see Juice McCaffrey all over the leaderboard, don't I? Don't we?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, he's crushing it.
Yeah.
He crushed in the NBA. I think he finished the season out. He didn't finish the season as good as you did, but
No,
I think
hey,
he finished
listen,
out pretty
we
well.
won like the first one and won the last one. You maxed the 150 already, you sicko.
Holy shit!
We
He's
needed you,
so Jewish McCaffrey's going for that closing line value.
dude. I was gonna say we needed you here at the beginning of the conversation when we were talking about how to approach that. That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, that's
But yeah,
awesome.
I've done a couple, and most of them have been while I've been running too. And a lot of you, oh wow, 1-of-1. Let's go. There we go,
Boom.
Borland. We might be taking your guy with the first pick.
There we go. I love it.
Um, But yeah, man, you know what, I fall into this habit quite a bit, and I don't know if it's a leak or whatever, but I find myself getting too late quarterbacks. Like if I don't
Yeah,
get one of the good ones, I end up just being like, well, I'm just going to keep taking wide receivers then, and then I'll eventually get a quarterback. Which is
yeah.
I don't know
I,
how if that's sharp or not, but that's what's been happening.
I think I think this year specifically, I'm gonna try to target taking a quarterback earlier. At least getting one earlier, like maybe within the first 8 rounds or something.
Okay.
Just because last year we saw like a really huge tier with like the top 6 guys or something like that.
Hmm.
And
Also,
there was a
sorry, real
pretty
quick,
significant.
have you been taking JJ with the first one
Yeah,
just about every
yeah, oh
time?
yeah,
All right,
yeah,
let's go. All right, sorry, you can continue. We got a ways to go now.
yeah. We do have a ways to go. But yeah. Anyways, I think there's a pretty the elite QBs have kind of separated themselves a bit. So yeah, I think it's important. So anyways, we got Justin Jefferson here, right? So let's kind of start building out a potential plan here. And I've got a sheet that will be a little bit too much for people today, but we'll share it
We'll
later
we'll ease into
once
that.
we
We'll
yeah, we'll ease into this sheet. But I think it helps me. I like kind of planning things out for how this thing's going to go down. Um, and yeah, so we're gonna want to think through like some of the other Vikings and Packers that are available, and I'm interested to kind of hear your takes on this. So we've got other Vikings available. We've got TJ Hawkinson, who's going to be right in the money at the 4-5 turn for us.
Mhm.
And then we've got Addison, who's like the new rookie wide receiver who, is
Borland,
basically going to,
boots on the ground. Borland, need to know how we're feeling about Addison.
yeah, boots on the ground. So he's going to be right in the probably the 6th round range. And then we've got this fucked up running back situation between like Dalvin is not on the team and on the social media, and then there's some guy tweets they might restructure his contract, and he's maybe here. And Madison and Dalvin have like the same freaking ADP right now, basically. And it's just a
It's
mess because
crazy.
you're gonna get burned on one of them.
Yeah. How do you approach rookie wide receivers just in general? I mean, I know not every situation is the same and not every player is the same, but like just in general, especially because we're this far out.
Yeah, so I have an interesting take on the rookie thing, and I think it's because so Underdog came out with like I want to say like maybe three different contests before the draft even happened, right? Like there's like a big board that people 150 max with like $1 million of prizes. There was like I don't know. I think there was a few of them. I didn't do any of them, but I think what that did is that really like geared people up for rookies and like because that was like everybody was just like thinking about the rookies, like where is this rookie going to go, like whatever. And so people were just juiced up on rookies, and so I think getting into the early like season here of like post draft, I feel like all the rookies are just like juiced up on the draft boards. Like
Yeah.
I'm going through some of these guys and I'm like, I don't know. People are saying like this isn't that good of a rookie class. Like it's not like there's a ton of studs. Like even the QBs are like kind of questionable. And so for a lot of these guys to be gone how early they are, I think that's something that needs to get corrected a bit. But I mean, in like the case of Addison, like I don't know, it's him or KJ Osborne. Like I'll take a shot on Addison, right?
Right, like because we have seen like we've seen what, and not that KJ Osborne's bad, but we know what KJ Osborne is.
Yeah.
Um,
So I think
that's
for purposes of discussions is we just skip that running back, the Cook and Madison. We just
yeah.
say fuck it. We don't need to figure that out now.
What are you doing with Green Bay in general, right? Because that's the Week 17 matchup. Because
Yeah.
I have no read on anything over there. Like it's kind of been a stay away for me early on, just because I don't really know. I don't really know how to approach it.
Yeah, I actually don't mind Aaron Jones in like the 5th round. Like he
Hmm.
seems like the guy who's been overcorrected a bit too much. Like yeah, they had Rodgers last year, but like other than that, nothing's changed that much. And like theoretically, Rodgers shouldn't affect Aaron Jones too much, right? And so it's like he was going at like the 2-3 turn last year, and then like I mean he didn't have the greatest year ever. I doubt he paid off his ADP, but like for him to now be going 2 whole rounds later at like the 4-5 turn seems like a little bit much, and even like into the middle of the 5th round. So I'm a pretty big Aaron Jones fan, and he feels like a good guy to like have as your first running back.
Yeah.
Because like there's like he has the potential to be the highest scoring running back any given week, right? And
Yeah.
we've seen it happen before, and so he feels like a pretty good guy there in the fifth. But then like the receivers, it's like Watson I think is just going too high. He's like going in the 40s. And there's a couple guys I'd rather have with him, and then
Here, I'm gonna jump in here just because we're about to be on the
yeah.
clock here in a couple of picks. If what is your thought process looking at what we got available here and going here for 2-3? Like what stands out to you? I know we were talking about Jefferson and Higgins a few minutes ago, which is like week 15, I think. But
Yeah. I mean, I think I I wouldn't be opposed to one of these quarterbacks. And I would probably prefer Allen over Hurts.
yeah,
I don't know if you care about that.
nope.
I mean, the
Uh,
other thing I would take is maybe is Ramondre or Jacobs probably.
like in a double
Or we
click.
could take T. Yeah, I mean, no, not two running backs. I
Okay,
think
no,
take Josh Allen.
yeah, that's what I meant. Josh Allen and then either Ramondre, T, or
Hmm.
Jacobs here.
Yeah, so
I,
we could take T and do two wide receivers. Or we just go with Ramondre. Buffalo, New England is a stack in week 16,
Let's
so
do it.
that's kind of
I don't,
sweet.
and I'm a homer, dude. I'm a fucking homer. I want to get Ramondre
Yeah.
on the squad. Having says in the chat, do you really think the outlook on Dalvin is that much worse if he signs somewhere else? Like if he ends up in Miami? I know it wasn't like Buffalo rumored too. I don't know if that was real. Maybe I'm making up the Buffalo stuff. But how do you think that affects him?
Yeah, that's probably a good point. And maybe what I said earlier about you're screwed either way isn't correct. Like I assume wherever Dalvin signs, he's gonna probably move in the opposite direction, like similar to what like happened with Hopkins as soon as he was released. Like he started kind of moving up.
Hmm.
So yeah, maybe just blindly taking Dalvin if he falls like past ADP isn't a bad way to do it because you're like, okay, if he signs somewhere. But then the other thing you got to think about is like, I don't know what backfields are out there that like would he be the clear cut guy? Like in Miami, like I don't know, that would just be such an ugly backfield now. Like so
Yeah,
many running backs
especially the way
there.
they use the running backs in Miami. I mean,
Yeah.
and Borland, great point. We could get the Cook Bros in
Oh
Buffalo.
yeah. Oh yeah. Little brother correlation.
Uh, all
Okay,
right. So
so
yeah, go
let's
ahead.
kind of set ourselves up for success here. So we could do a pretty sick double tap at the next turn with TJ Hawkinson and Aaron Jones.
I like that.
We'd be really light on receiver through, we'd only have one receiver through 5 rounds, which wouldn't be the cleanest thing ever. We can get ourselves Addison later on to pair with Jefferson and then Gabe Davis as well. Should
Hmm.
probably get taken in like maybe the 7th round for us at the 6-7 turn. We should pair up Gabe Davis with Josh Allen,
Do you
and
think
then
in retrospect, real quick, looking at what we're looking at doing in the 4-5 here, should we have just taken T Higgins and then have Aaron Jones be our first running back, assuming that AJ's there?
yeah, I think it's a decent. I think it's a decent discussion for sure. I mean, the way like the way that I think about it is like I feel like Ramondre has the potential to be like in the running back 1 to 3 range, like at the
Oh yeah.
top end, right? Like that, like there's plenty of seasons that play out, and Ramondre is a top 3 running back, right? I
Hmm.
don't really think the same can be said for T. And so like
That's yeah,
I
good point.
think I think a little bit of the upside there with Ramondre, like, and then the other side is like the I don't know. I think just T is like a little bit over drafted right now, just because people are trying to pump in that Kelsey Mahomes, like they're trying to get some stuff going on with the Chiefs, right? And so like he's just naturally being like caught up a little bit higher. Like people will take T at like pick 19, right? It's like they take Kelsey at 5 and then they'll take T at pick 19 or something.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
good point too from McCaffrey in the chat saying Higgins' floor is well below Ramondre, even if ceilings are similar. It's a good point.
yeah. So then we could also not do Aaron Jones. I mean, there's potential to see what is Christian Watson. Did he get drafted yet? Looks
Ooh,
like he
yes,
probably
yeah,
did because he
Watson.
would be in the 40 range.
Yeah, Watson went 39th.
Yeah, so So yeah, I mean, like that would be decent. Like I would love taking Christian Watson the 4-5 turn, especially with the correlation there. And so yeah, it's either I think we probably want to take Hawkinson and
Mhm.
then we can, or we can not take Hawkinson and we can take another receiver. And then we can try to take Addison. Like so, we're thinking about Vikings, right? So
Right.
we've got our stud. We can get Cousins pretty easily in like the ninth if we want to. Um, or we cannot really do that. We can go somewhere else. We already have Josh Allen. And so, we could also just not care about Minnesota either. And we could just say, screw it. We'll take a Packer late and we'll just have a little mini correlation in week 17 if we want to. And we can just start pivoting and focusing on like the Josh Allen side of
Yeah,
things.
I kind of liked the TJ Aaron thing felt clean. The other options in this range, we're looking at like Judy, who I do like Judy, DJ Moore,
Yeah,
Christian Kirk, Michael Pittman. I don't know. Do any of those stand out?
not really. That's actually like the spot that I don't like
Yeah,
at
that's
all.
that's how I feel too. I think we just let's go TJ and then just like double click it with Aaron
Yeah,
Jones, and then at least like we have a skeleton built here.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I agree. This spot feels terrible. I find myself uh Kenneth Walker has been my first running back
Mhm.
a couple of times here in my drafts, which I was like super high on him last year and got very lucky. But and now with Rashad Penny being in Philly, that should like leave things open. I know they drafted another rookie too, right? That I'm blanking on his name. Char-
Charbonnet.
Charbonnet, yeah.
Yeah.
But I do like Kenneth Walker quite a bit. But yeah, but that zone's kind of gross. I don't really love it.
Yeah. So we definitely need to start getting after some receivers.
Oh, you think we need
I
more
would
than one?
yeah, we definitely even though we got the best one, we're probably gonna need a few more.
Yeah.
'Cause that's kinda like the downside. It's like running back, like we're super strong at running back, right? And so
Mhm.
when you look at like where you want to be running back wise, you want to typically like spend the least amount of money on running backs, the most amount of most amount of money on receivers, right? And like money is draft capital
Mhm.
in that scenario. And so we took two running backs relatively early, and so now we are pretty good to like just punt running back until late. And now we start kind of picking our spots here with what else falls to us. And I think Gabe should probably fall to us here. But what are your thoughts on if Addison's here as well? Like, are you tied to taking Cousins later and like doing a Vikings way, or should we just say Jefferson and Hawkinson is enough from the Vikings, and we'll kind of figure out where else we do?
I think it depends what's there, right? Like if there's some other
Yeah,
things around it, like I mean I do kind of like Marquise Brown was so good for such the early stint of season. Uh
yeah,
so I don't really hate that, but if the
yeah,
because we're still 13 picks away,
yeah.
and so a lot of the guys in that range that I like, I don't think are going to be there. I mean, I honestly don't know if Addison will be there.
Yeah,
Um,
he may not get there, and we'd be reaching to take Gabe. So let's talk about Gabe then. Let's talk about the Bills, right? So you can, if we don't take Gabe, there's not really another receiver until like the last round, and you could take Khalil Shakir or whatever.
right.
Um, there's two, we got two options at running back with um, James Cook, Dalvin's brother, and Damian Harris. And
Mhm.
those guys, we should be able to get those guys pretty easily later on.
I think with
Cook, I think,
Allen,
goes in the
I
95 range.
prefer to grab Cook. Um,
Yeah. And then Dawson Knox is free, and I think he's like a great pick still. Um,
yeah, and the rookie, right? What's
and the
the
rookie Kincaid or whatever.
yeah?
I think he's pretty I feel like I want to try to wait for Kincaid to cool off a bit. Like he will at some point. Like I'm sure he'll like there'll be like a video of him fucking duffing a couple balls in practice and then I'll drop 3 rounds or something. It's like, okay, cool. Now I can draft Kincaid. But right now he just feels like the rookie tight end is like fucking the position that just never works, right?
Oh,
Like,
dude, it's so
you
hard.
know?
That's so hard
Yeah.
to project. I do think if Addison's here, we just take him and like,
Yeah.
cause yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't like we got Jefferson, we got Hawk. I think that's I don't
Yeah.
hate that. I mean,
Like I don't mind
oh, he's gone.
Evans. Oh, he's gone. So Evans and Marquise Brown, I'm pretty high on here. Lockett would be a kind of a third guy in that tier to me, I think. You know, you can just hit the star. Dude.
What?
You just hit the star next to him.
What was I doing?
No, you're going down to the bottom, but you can just hit the star when it's not
Oh, right
dropped
there.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I did know that. I don't know why.
And then okay, so Lockett goes. Tony, like, I don't know.
I if I've been using Tony as stacker correlations, and that's been it.
Yeah.
If I have a
Yeah.
Bengal stack, I scoop Tony late because it's really hard to get, Kelsey with them.
Yeah. And then this little tier of receivers after like Pickens, Johnson, Burks. It's probably
Yeah.
what we're gonna be dealing with here, but it's not like my favorite tier ever.
No, we don't know really who's going to be thrown to Traylon Burks, which I like Traylon Burks. I don't hate Pickens though.
Yeah.
I like Pickens. I know. I mean, obviously, if Mike Evans is here, nope,
You go.
he going. I do think we take. How do you feel about Pickens and Gabe? I know we're reaching a little bit on Gabe, but
Yeah. I think Pickens is fine. The only thing I was just looking at, KC has a little bit of action with New England week 15, but I don't know if that really
okay. I
matters.
mean, I don't care.
Yeah.
Jahan
Because the
Dotson.
other thing,
Well, okay.
yeah,
Tony's
Dotson.
gone.
Okay. Yeah, so let's go Pickens and
Pickens and
Pickens and
Gabe.
Gabe then. Yeah, fuck it.
I do like Dotson. I wish Washington could figure their shit out.
I know. Like he's a really good example of a team that is like I'm just like taking one-offs with them
Mm-hmm.
where it's like because I don't know, it's Sam Howell or Jacoby Brissett, right? It's like
I
if I
know.
knew who that one is, then I'm more inclined to take like McLaurin and reach a little bit on Dotson and like figure out the quarterback. But like right now, it's like it could be either of those guys, right? Or it could be both. Like each could play freaking 8 games, and then it's just like, all right, well, that sucks.
So for this this next go around, what should we be targeting right now? So for the people at home, here I can go this way. We're sitting on Jefferson, Josh Allen, Ramondre, T.J. Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, Pickens, Gabe Davis.
So I think since we went Gabe Davis, we can just we should probably skip on James Cook.
Yeah.
Because we kind of still need to keep going on receivers. And then we could take Cousins in the 9th. I think that would be a little bit of a reach, maybe. Is it?
Yeah, let me look at Cousins. Yeah, by like I guess we'd be picking 7 ahead, but
Yeah.
I don't hate
So yeah, I don't hate it either. And then we kind of have like our 2 quarterbacks, you know.
Although, actually, let me push back on the Kirk thing here for a second. If we have we don't have Addison. Well, let's look at who has Addison again. So Addison went to Eeyore. Hell yeah, we love Eeyore. Eeyore's got Lamar. I was gonna say if Eeyore, I don't know, that's probably too risky. Do you know what I was getting at though? I was like, is anyone else
Like push
taking
it a
Kirk?
little bit.
Yeah, like is anyone
Yeah.
else taking Kirk?
I mean, I don't think like if we don't take him at 97, we're not going to get him at 120. But
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Like we could just we don't necessarily need to go there. Like we have a sweet little Vikings Packers little combo there, and we can just kind of
2-1.
call it quits and keep moving, right? Because like
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett, we can make some stuff happen with late, with George Pickens and some Seahawks.
I love this call too, because this is something
Yeah.
I've been trying to remind myself to do with Pickett, because it's happened a couple of times where I've reached on like someone like Derek Carr, and I was like, I don't love this. And then I see Pickett go late, and I was like, oh, that would have been the move. And since we did grab Pickens, I do. That's a really good take. Because then we could, yeah, and I agree. Like then if Kirk somehow does fall, because I just don't know who's drafting a nude Kirk, you know?
Yeah. So Kenny Pickett's going to be there in like the 15th round.
Yeah, so
And
let's
like,
fade him this round. Let's get some real ballers and hope Kirk falls.
But then
Thank you, Jewish McCaffrey.
I think we keep going. I just think we keep going receiver then.
Yeah.
And we want to start figuring out like what else we can do late, right? So Steelers play the Seahawks. All the Seahawks receivers are gone. So the most we could do with if we do like a Pickett thing, the most we could do is like maybe a
Fant,
Charbonnet or like Fant in the last round,
Noah
which I don't hate
Fant,
at all.
baby.
I mean, I don't hate Noah Fant. Like that's a great freaking tight end in my opinion.
Yeah, and
Um,
isn't he going like last?
yeah, he's going. We could take him in the last round, I'm sure. And like, yeah. So not a whole lot of love there. So then we just kind of want to start looking at like, best available. And this is like sometimes where like a little bit of the like the tiebreaker type stuff that we were talking about comes into play, right? So if you go back to the wide receiver list, we've got some Buffalo action and they play like the people in their wheelhouse are Patriots, Jets, Chargers, Cowboys, right?
Juju.
So yeah, Juju. I kind of prefer Thornton to Juju.
All right. Thornton.
You can get Thornton a little bit later.
Okay.
Um, if Juju fall, I wouldn't want to reach on Juju. I guess that's my point.
Okay.
Um,
I feel like we're going to be reaching on any wide receiver we take unless Cortland Sutton makes it here. Looking at best available, we have Sutton,
yeah,
Jameson, Juju, Lazard, Odell,
yeah. So then let's go back. So is James Cook still available? Let's just take a look at that. I mean, he
James
is,
Cook.
and we could just get freaking nutted up on RB.
What are your if Sutton? I don't think Sutton will be here. Although maybe would you go Cook Sutton here? Ah, Cook was
Uh,
taken.
oh, we could need Cook. Okay, so here's what we could do. We could do Sutton. I mean, I think Sutton's fine. He's got a little bit of a small correlation with New England in Week 16, if we care about that. And then we also could take Charbonnet, and then we got a little Pittsburgh Seahawks going.
All right.
If we're pretty set on Kenny Pickett late.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I don't hate that. I would do that or I would take. Uh, Man, I'm such a sucker for Brian Robinson. Let's take Charbonnet. I don't have any of him.
and I'm like a correlation freak, so you
No,
feel
this is
free to
good.
like tell me to relax.
This is good. You know what, with the people, I'm feeling this a little bit too. I'm a little bit nervous about Juju, so I get it. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. He could be good, but
I has Garrett Wilson been going in like he's in like the first round, right?
yeah, he's a second round pick. Yeah,
Second round.
he's going early second, basically like almost at the 1-2 turn,
Yeah, that's what I thought I saw. I think I saw him go in the
which
first
it's
round.
kind of like hard to argue, to be honest. Like,
Yeah, I mean he
I
was good
mean,
with nobody.
yeah, he's good with literally freaking Mike White and like -2 ribs, dude.
Yeah.
So, so now so like one of the things we'll talk about in one of the future weeks is like the draft capital buckets. And so for running backs, you want to be in the lower draft capital range, right? And so what I've got us right now spending we spent up quite a bit at RB. So we should probably chill on running back for like probably 4 or 5 rounds.
Okay.
And then we know we're pretty set on our Kenny Pickett. He's
Unless
gonna be
unless Kirk's still there, I do think if
I mean,
Kirk's there,
yeah, if Kirk is there, that would be pretty impressive. And if he's not, we're pretty set on Kenny Pickett. We should be able to get him a little bit before his ADP at our pick there. So
mhm.
I'm pretty confident we'll get him, but we'll see. If not, we could be really scrambling. Um, and then so now it's just back to the hammer the wide receiver train. What
Yeah,
have you been doing at tight end when you take a good one early?
I'm not again until the last pick. You know what I've been doing? Jelani Woods occasionally. I've been throwing
Yeah,
some darts. Yeah, because I got a little bit of Anthony Richardson, and I'm just like, who knows? Um, only when I have one that I feel confident in, though. That's like, otherwise, I get
yeah,
like mid round and a late round. McCaffrey too. With the question too, saying from an advance rate perspective, are you guys open to occasionally pairing AJ with Aaron Jones, or feel like that's too negative EV for week 17 upside? I feel like that situation specifically is so unique because you just have no idea what you're going to get from Jordan Love and like what type of role like, are we going to see
yeah,
both them on the field at the same time? I feel like
yeah.
that situation's pretty tricky.
I feel like that's more of like a similar question through the lens of like the draft capital side, right? Where it's like Aaron Jones is going in like the 5th round and AJ Dillon is in like the 10th round or ninth
Hmm.
round, maybe. 10th, I don't know. So like that feels like pretty high to be taking two guys who like could be kind of sharing the load a little bit, right? Like, or so like in the case of like a Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, right? Like that one feels a little bit better to me where it's like you go 10th round and 11th round on those guys and it's like okay, that's not horrible. I mean the argument for what Jewish McCaffrey brought up was like the uniqueness side, right? It's like
Yeah.
when I get to week 17, like who's gonna have like if Aaron Jones is the guy who went off in week 16, nobody's gonna have AJ Dillon in week 17 and yada yada yada. I don't know if I'm just fully sold on that whole like uniqueness thing. Like I think it's just such a freaking luck box to get through all these pods and get to week 17 that like you could make up some shit about why your team's unique, like no matter what the fuck it is, right? Like,
Yeah, I just think I like it more for those situations with, like, I think Overzet actually did something on this week or last week. When you look at guys like Robinson and Gibson or Cook and Damian Harris, where it's like two backs who kind of do similar, I mean, do different
yeah,
roles and can both get there. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
Harris can punch it in twice and Cook can get like 8 catches for 70 yards and a spike. And then you're there.
yeah. All right, so we're getting freaking housed on wide receiver, huh?
Yeah, but you know who's still there? You like that?
Yeah, I do actually like that a lot. Oh, you know what's not good though? He's got the same buy as Josh Allen.
That's fine. We'll just get a third quarterback.
Dude, what?
We should have noticed that. I mean, if Kirk drops to 120, we got to take him, right?
All right, fucking dude, we take Kitty late.
Yeah, dude. Then we take Kenny Lane. Let's go. We don't even need wide receivers. What do we?
We'll
What
just
about?
draft wide receivers later.
What do we think about Mooney, Mingo, Rice,
I
Thielen,
hate all
Gallup,
of them.
Dobbs,
I think I'd go with my guy Mingo, just because he
Mingo?
seems like he could be the wide receiver one.
There you go. Oh wait, we're on the clock. My bad. All right, we're gonna take Mingo first, just because it looks like we got Kirk even later.
Yeah, yeah, I
You
like
know what I'm
that.
saying?
Yeah, it's
Look
always a
at
good
this,
little trick.
dude. Look at this steal. That was
Yeah,
ADP of 104,
that is a
121.
steal. That is a
Shout out
freaking steal.
Jewish McCaffrey with the assist. He sold us on Kenny Pickett. Well, now you're still selling us on Kenny Pickett because we need
We
three
still need
quarterbacks.
Kenny Pickett. We're not necessarily saying we're gonna do this great out of the gates here.
Oh man, A plus all around by us.
Hey, we could
Uh,
be unique and just take two 13th round or 13 bye week quarterbacks
hell yeah.
and just take a fucking 0 in round 13 or in week 13.
Oh, we got a nice little. We got
Okay, so I know I keep saying this, but we really start taking some receivers here.
Oh, we're taking receivers the rest of the way. I mean, except for Pickett. Yeah, it feels like we don't have a good team looking at this.
I mean, we definitely need to make some stuff happen here in the late rounds at receiver. I think, like, if you think about our running backs, Ramondre and Aaron Jones are very strong. Charbonnet, I think, has a potential to be stronger later in the year.
Mhm.
Um, Josh Allen's obviously, outside chance at QB1. Justin Jefferson's probably going to be the wide receiver one. So we're looking pretty solid. We just need some depth.
And listen, you already talked me into Ramondre potentially being RB1. So Ramondre RB1, Justin Jefferson wide receiver one, Josh Allen QB1. I mean, dude, this game's
Yeah.
easy.
3 mil. Might as well freaking call it now.
Also, we didn't come. This is a verbal agreement as we draft these together. We'll chop these.
Just put a little star in the note or something.
Yeah.
So go to the let's look at what wide receivers we're gonna have in like the 145, 144,
Ooh,
145 range.
I
Pierce,
draft.
dude, your guy.
I double click Alec Pierce. Oh wait, hold on. Let's gotta stop doing that like a fish.
Come on, dude. Do
it's
it
just
for the UI.
it's habit, dude. Yeah, I love Alec Pierce, and it's embarrassing.
I think Nico Collins is a great pick this year, and if he falls a couple picks, I think that's fun. I'm not sold on this Jalen Hyatt guy. There's like 5 Giants receivers,
Yeah,
so I think that's. I'm not really sold on DJ Chark. I think he could potentially like not even make the team. Well, I guess I forget if that was a trade or a signing. Um, was that? Did
I
they
can't.
sign him? I
I
I,
can't
I don't know.
remember.
I'm not a big cap guy. We could get our guy KJ Osborne in there, but
Oh,
like,
dude. Oh man. All right. So Pierce is off the board. There's no way Nico
uh,
makes
I
it.
don't hate Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Oh, DPJ. What about MBS? Is he
I
gone?
don't hate MVS either. And after that, we're probably getting a little bit too deep. Rondale is interesting because I feel like he's eventually going to fall up into this tier as people kind of keep steaming him up. Um, but yeah, let's see. Do we have any tiebreakers for these guys that we care about? Houston, nothing really. Cleveland is a divisional with Pittsburgh, so
There
that's
we
kind of
go.
fun if we end up
DPS.
going pick it.
Oh, DPJ. I mean.
KC has some action with New England, and then Rondale, not much there.
All right. We got to fade 6 picks, but I think between these four, we just hopefully we have 2 of them left.
Let's look at another little thing I like looking at is the bye weeks, right? So what are our bye weeks right now for wide receivers? Um,
Uh 13, 6, 13, 9, and 7.
okay. So well, this is a pretty good spread right here with these four.
Yeah. Stubbs had a little question for you. How do you feel about teams with elite weapons but sus quarterbacks like a San Francisco? Weisberg had asked something similar to about like Devontae Adams with who knows who.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Brock Purdy, big cock Brock, not really a suspect quarterback, I would say.
Yeah, but I don't think we knew he was going to be back. Now it's like they good
You heard
report
I
today.
thought he's gonna be flinging the rock pretty
That's what
soon.
they
His
said today.
elbows,
Good report.
yeah, yeah, elbows firing, dude. I've been
What's what's Purdy's
when
ADP?
possible, I take him. So look at type in 49, because you can look at Lance and Purdy. So
Wow.
Lance is ahead of Purdy, which is just wrong, right? Like you're
Wow.
just banking on Lance getting traded. Like what?
Wow.
Obviously, if Purdy's healthy, he's starting, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they've made that pretty clear. All right, looks like we're gonna get 2 of our 4 bros here. Do we just Nico and then Peoples Jones?
Yeah,
I know
I
he
like the
oh, go ahead.
order you have it here. I think
Yeah,
you
I did.
just take the top two in this order.
God, don't do it to us again, A74.
Oh, fucker.
Because
He needs your
Nico, I
shade
don't
too.
Nico would be a nice little haul here. Okay, they went
Yeah,
Russ.
that's great.
There you go. Bang,
Beautiful.
bang. Let's go. Look at us. Then we're back now. We're fine. I'm not
Yeah,
stressed out
yeah.
anymore.
We're totally fine. We're into yeah, we're into wide receiver bucket number 3, which isn't horrible. What other Steelers? So what do we have? We have Pickens, Pickett, and then I do love Jalen Warren. I've got quite a bit of him, but he's not going to fall to us.
No, I don't think so. I'll throw. Oh God damn it.
And then
Allen Robinson.
no, no. This is where I stopped for Pittsburgh.
W-
So
w-
Pickett will be our last Steeler.
What's the note? Oh, I thought they had a news
Mm,
note on Darnell Washington. They don't.
yeah, I don't. They do. It says he does. Yeah, I don't know what my thoughts are on this guy yet. I'm gonna wait for some other smarter people to start talking about him before I drop. That's generally my take. It's like, I saw this guy at a good combine, but like nobody's drafted him, so I probably shouldn't care about him yet.
Yeah, McCaffrey. I stopped drafting Allen Robinson in like 2016, so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna pick up that habit again.
Um, we do eventually need a tight end. I don't really think we need much at tight end. Like, are you typically a 2 tight end guy or 3 or what? What's
Usually 2. Unless sometimes if I didn't get one that I feel confident in, I'll get one in like the middle and then sprinkle a couple other ones out there. So occasionally I do 3, but I'm usually 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, and that's gone to
yeah.
shit in this draft.
Yeah, I know, seriously. Yeah, I guess if we are taking 3 quarterbacks, we can't take 3 tight ends, but I've been toying with the 3 tight end a little bit more often.
Yeah,
Like I did one from this spot in the first and I had Hawkinson and then like in the last 2 rounds I took Trey McBride and Jake Ferguson.
I like that.
And I think I had something going on with Ferguson or whatever. I had like took Jared Goff, so Ferguson made sense. But like the thing that I think about at tight end is like there's a couple guys that are good, and then like everybody else is pretty shit. Oh, that's a great point on Knox.
Yeah, I know. We talked
Um,
about it earlier too, and then forgot.
yeah.
So that might be a little bit of a reach for our next pick, but I don't know.
It could be all right. We could go Pickett Knox, and then just finish with.
Yeah.
We only have 3 running backs, so I guess we do need another running back. I feel like we're not really doing well at the limelight here for our first
It's our
draft.
first one, dude. Honestly, I'm glad that this is going down this way because we are setting the bar low and we're gonna work our way up.
But I don't feel bad at all with 3 at this point. Like, I think we need to take. We obviously need to probably end with 5, just because. Like, occasionally I'm okay ending with 4, but that's if your third one is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Charbonnet really fits that category.
No, I don't think it
But
does.
there's some good running backs late. There's some good running backs late that I don't mind. Kenny Gainwell, Jerome Ford, Gus Edwards, like a bunch of studs, dude. So
But
we're gonna be fine.
we're still clicking these 2 next, right? As long as they're there, we're still going Pickett and then
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. I think so. I think that makes sense. And then we're just gonna finish 2 running backs and a receiver. We'll
Okay.
call it a day.
I love it. I love it. Stubbs pumping his Chargers in the chat. We love to see that,
Yeah.
Stubbs. You got a nice little baseball sweat going on today.
God damn it, you're playing baseball.
I know, I hate it, but here I am.
I just know, like, I can't do anything like just haphazardly.
I know.
Like, if I'm gonna be playing baseball, I'm gonna be making spreadsheets, projections, and all this bullshit. I just don't.
I tried so hard to do baseball in Underdog. I can't do the drafts.
Oh, you got it on DraftKings. You're doing it on DraftKings.
Yeah, we're finding a little bit.
Oh, you were kind of doing that last year, though.
Yeah, I usually do just like, just run a little one lineup out there. Had a little Red Sox red stack.
Here we go. So let's look at the running backs that are going to be worth putting a star next to for now.
All right, we got take a shot on one of the Bengals guys. We got Chase Brown. I kind of like Gainwell late if he's still there.
Yeah, Gainwell's great. So the 3 that I like are Gainwell, Edwards, and Jerome Ford. And I'm probably gonna and I don't hate Chuba either. Jerome Ford's up there above. He's a rookie for
Cleveland.
And he's, essentially worst case scenario is like a good Kareem Hunt year, I feel like. And best case scenario is Nick Chubb gets hurt. And actually worst case scenario is like Dalvin Cook signs with Cleveland and Jerome Ford's just dead. But like it could be. There's actually the part that scares me the most about some of these running backs right now is Zeke, Fournette.
Wait, hold on.
What?
We're gonna have to draft a third tight end.
Oh, they both have. Oh, we're crushing it. We're crushing it. Actually, I'm okay with the tight end sharing a bye week.
All right, Dawson Knox, let's go. Welcome aboard.
We're unique, dude. We're unique. That's unique.
There we go.
No, but honestly, like, I think so. Quarterback taking a 0, I think, is a bummer. Tight end, I feel like, I don't know. Like, there's definitely going to be a week where Hawkinson and Dawson Knox's best score is 6 points, and so it's like, who cares? Like, are we really like losing that much?
Yeah. Yeah, who cares? Who cares, dude?
It's actually really funny that you say that because this spreadsheet that I have going for like the spreadsheet that I'm kind of using off to the sides, which we'll introduce eventually, I'm tracking one of the slow drafts I have in BBM, and it's exactly this start with like Jefferson and Allen, and like this one, and I go through and I like pre-plug guys in, and it was Minnesota and Buffalo start, and like I pre-plugged in like 8 guys, and I look back and it's like all week 13. I'm like, oh,
that's
shit.
great. That's great.
I should have remembered that, dude. I think actually this is a relatively good takeaway that like Jefferson plus Allen is like kind of a tough little combo start. Like maybe we should have gone Hurts,
Yeah,
way back when our journey started.
Right. Hey, at least we didn't take T. Higgins though. No, this will be fun. I'm a firm believer this takes I need like 5 more drafts before I feel like I'm in rhythm.
Yeah. And then the other guy, so what's your take on the Miami backfield? Do you have a take?
I'm always a sucker for Jeff Wilson just because I've had him in my like dynasty squad for the last 35 years. And so I always kind of root for. I think Jeff Wilson is good when he's used, and it's just they're like, hey, we're only going to use you if the 3 guys in front of you get hurt. You'll
Yeah.
average 2.5 touchdowns a game. But hey, we're also Matt Breida. You know what I mean? Like they just
Yeah,
find
yeah.
dudes to bring in. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely having a tough time figuring it out. Like, I feel like in this spot though, I mean, oh, we're still 13 picks away, so
He
he's
just went
already
off the board.
gone. Like those are just the kind of guys like Wilson, Mostert, and even like the other guy, Ashane or whatever his name is. Like
Mm.
just kind of like, okay, just try to take both those guys after ADP because you don't really know what's going to go down.
Yeah. That's how I feel about those two guys, those types of players too.
Neither People says Cook is almost a done deal for Miami. Well, that would
Whoa.
really fuck up that backfield. That would make the Dolphins like a really probably a team that I'll like have no exposure to, right? Because you have
Eh,
to get you have to get Hill and Waddle in like the first 18 picks. And then Tua, you know, like there's like a real potential that Mike White starts a majority of the games
I
for the
know.
Dolphins here, you know. So
Man,
like
sorry, go
I
ahead.
don't feel like I'm drafting Tua.
No. Waddle's so interesting too, man, because he was I think I was 35% on him last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
And
you had a ton.
or 30, yeah, and I don't think I'll have barely any.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I was getting him in like the third round, I think, or and
Yeah.
it's such a different value prop now. Because he's going, what's his ADP right now?
He's 18th, I think, like 18-ish.
Yeah, you can't.
17.
17. I mean, I still
So
like
yeah,
him.
so
I
you
really
basically
like him.
have so if Cook goes to the Dolphins, right? You have Tyreek and Waddle going in the first round and a half. Then you have Tua in like no man's land in like the eighth. And I'm not clicking Tua until he's way past that. And then you've got 4 running backs who are like all going to be in like the 12th or 14th round. It's like it's just ugly, and they don't even have a tight end. Like who's their tight end? Durham Smythe. Like
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
know,
about
dude. Grow some stones, stack it up with Mike White.
that. I mean, honestly, that's like pretty sick. And it's like I don't want to like
Dude, he
it's
said
kind of
he
fucked
was
up
going to
to say,
retire.
but
Like he was contemplating
yeah,
retirement this year.
exactly. Like he didn't he get hurt? Didn't he have a head thing 3 times last year? Like,
Yeah,
or
and
I guess two separate occasions, right? And then he
two in like
missed
5
3.
days.
Yeah. So
Uh,
like I don't know.
are
He
we? Are
feels
we
like a
just?
pretty heavy favorite.
Would you take Edwards over Chuba here? We double click Gainwell
Um,
and Gus.
let's see. The only thing that I'm thinking that makes me go Gainwell and Chuba would just be not
Oh,
being week 13.
well, hey,
Uh,
breaking news: Chuba's off the board.
So here we go, fire it up. I don't really like this is kind of the end of the tier. This is usually the where I want to end my running backs at is like right
Yeah,
in this range of those kind of 4 or 5 guys we had queued up. Because
yeah,
then I mean it also is kind of interesting because like Fournette, Zeke, Kareem Hunt, I think are kind of the big 3 that are like essentially free and like I don't know if they sign, will they go somewhere?
yeah. Here,
So
all right.
now we want to finish. Let's take a look at where we're at from a draft capital standpoint, which is who did we take here for running back?
So our running backs now are Stevenson, Aaron Jones, Charbonnet, Gainwell, and Goose Edwards.
Okay, so from quarterback draft capital, we're in bucket number 1, which is good.
That's
You
good.
want to elite QB is a good bucket. For running back, we're actually in bucket 4, which is good. You want to be 4 or 5. Um, Receiver, we're in bucket 3, and you want to be in the top 2 buckets. So definitely where we were a little bit behind schedule there at receiver. And then tight end, we're in bucket 2, which isn't actually a great bucket. You basically want to get like Travis Kelsey, or you want to like spend
Go.
later.
Yeah.
So like thinking back through it, maybe we could have punted on Dawson Knox and just taken somebody late.
Yeah.
But
Or stayed away from I mean, you kind of brought it up a bunch of times, just kind of staying away from the Minnesota stack, like maybe not
yeah,
forcing in Hawk when we did.
yeah. I mean, but
I mean, or
what
this is the perfect roster. Like it could be that too.
Yeah, so let's see what is anything sneaky we can kind of get in here with the 18th round. Let's see what we have at receiver. because I think we're gonna need that.
Okay, sorry, receiver. We got. Let's see. I don't know. Robert Woods. I think Tim Patrick's kind of sneaky. I don't know, but
Yeah,
I like him. I thought he was like really good prior
I think
to.
Corey Davis is kind of a sick little play too.
Yeah. How about Dortchy? How about the Dortch report?
Norwich is kind of decent. It like again, I'm a nerd when it comes to this, but Arizona, Philly, little Gainwell action.
Yeah.
Um, I don't hate Richie James. Like Chiefs are kind of interesting.
Yeah. How about what about Devontae
Well,
Parker?
yeah. What about Devontae Parker? New England. That'd be great. That'd be a great
Yeah.
pick. I
That's
think
it.
he should be our priority. Because
Yeah.
then we got Ramondre and Devontae Parker with 3 bills.
Yeah.
So that feels pretty good.
There we go. Bang.
Um, yeah, like I'm looking at like you see some of the late receivers for the Chiefs. Like if you don't get Kelsey, which I actually love the Kelsey ADP this year because like it's not really a choice necessarily, right? It's
Right.
like you get through the top 6. If Kelsey's there, you take them or whatever, right? Top 5 or 6. If Kelsey's there, you take them. If not, and you just don't get that slot, then you just don't get a lot of them. Or like last year, I feel like he was right at like the 1-2 turn, and
Yeah.
so it was like a decision that you kind of had to make of like, do I want him or another guy or whatever. Um, and like, because this is like that's exactly what I want Kelsey to be this year. Is like I don't want to have to decide on him, right?
Right.
Because he is getting old, but he's also like the best tight end ever, and he keeps crushing it every single year. So it's like let's just let the randomizer gods be in our favor, and we'll get probably around 9%.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I've got a couple where I didn't get anybody, like I got Mahomes, but I didn't get Kelsey, and it is kind of fun. Or I've done it with on the Bengals side too. If I've got like a Burrow stack, like it is kind of fun just mixing and matching with some of these late
Yeah,
KC guys, like
I
the
think the
MVS
Casey side
Tonys.
Oh, I think the KC side is super fun. Like I
Yeah,
I actually if Mahomes falls to the 3rd ever, which he does sometimes, early 3rd, like that's almost a snap pick for me. And I'm just like, I'll just figure it out later. Like there's so many different Chiefs. You
yeah.
can make a case to draft like 5 different Chiefs wide receivers, I think. Yeah, Parker.
Devontae
There we
Parker,
go.
welcome aboard, welcome aboard. Wait, wait. We still have one more pick. No, that was our last pick, right?
Oh wait, no, you're not. Wait, why didn't he go?
No, I think sometimes
Move
he.
him up your queue at least, minimum. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes it glitches out, huh?
That's so weird. I think it already had drafted. It just glitched. That's happened to me a couple of times. When I'm using it on on desktop. It's weird. Only on desktop that happens. All right, come on. Let's go. All right, let's just go. Drafts completed. There we go. That was my 8th one. 7th one. 7th one. All right, here we go. This is the full draft here. So we finished up here with Justin Jefferson, Josh Allen, Ramondre Stevenson, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, Pickens, Gabe, Sutton, Charbonnet, Mingo. Oh, I forgot we had Mingo. Then we got Kirk with the steal of the night, Nico Collins, DPJ, Pickett, Knox, Gainwell, Gus, and then finish Boston strong with Devontae Parker right there.
So what is your what's your takeaways here?
Okay, so I think if we do it again, I think once we got to this 4-5 turn, I think maybe we still take Aaron Jones, but we take a wide receiver there.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's a pretty good call.
and like I guess it would have been right because we pick 1, 2, 3. So it's the
It's
end of
just
this
kind of
round.
one of those things with the Vikings, right? It's like the
Yeah,
Vikings are actually like going kind of early, right? When you look at Hawkinson and then Addison even,
yeah.
and then like their running backs are a bit of a mess right now. And so it's almost like if you get Jefferson, like maybe just take Aaron Jones and then you just, start
And
thinking
leave it at that.
elsewhere.
I will say,
Yeah.
looking back at it, I mean, the reason we did that is because you look at the next crew of wide receivers taken, and it was DJ Moore, Jerry Judy, Christian Kirk, and it was kind of that. I mean, I guess I would have
Yeah.
taken Judy if we
Yeah.
were going to do it, but
Yeah. 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 Definitely not the sweetest spot there.
no. Yeah, I don't know. No regrets. I think we're going to win it all. I think we're going
I
to win it
think
all.
the
Oh,
other
sorry.
thing too that maybe did throw us off a bit was that Josh Allen pick.
Yeah.
Um, and like that kind of got us down a little bit of a different path, and we could have gone. Who could we have gone instead? We could have
Jalen
gone like a
Hurts.
yeah, Jalen Hurts, T Higgins. We could have double tapped RB and then like never touched RB for a while.
That's true too. Yeah,
Yeah, kind of interesting. I like it. That was fun.
that was a fun one. All right, we'll do it again next week, man. This is great.
We're gonna get better at this.
We'll get better. We'll have more spreadsheets too. Get ready, more spreadsheets next week. John, anything you need to plug up right now? Join the Momentum Labs Discord. Give you some money. What do we got going on?
Yeah, we did a little analysis on the playoff redemptions right now. Sounds
Nice.
like looks like the Jokic or the Nuggets round 3 is trending towards being the bottleneck, and Heat oh wait, I think I might have that wrong. Nuggets round 2 is trending towards being the bottleneck, and Heat round 3 is probably
All
gonna be
right.
the bottleneck. So here we go.
There you go. Top shot to the moon. We'll be back. We'll be back next week. We'll fire this up again, and it'll be smoother, baby. It'll be smoother. All right, we're out.